You know, I've been making videos for a long time, and this video might actually be the one that I lose all my credibility for. Now let's actually talk about how Five Nights at Freddy's is a pretty good franchise. It is. It is dope.
Recently, I started streaming a little game franchise called Five Nights at Freddy's on my Twitch channel, and hey, if you want to see me get scared, go check out my Twitch, link in the description.
Oh! Oh shit!
I'm sure all of you already know what Five Nights at Freddy's is, but for those who live under a rock, main creator Scott Cawthon was a failed game developer who made tons of Christian-based games, and he got the idea to make a horror game from a negative comment to one of these games stating that the character looked like a terrifying animatronic, and that's when Five Nights at Freddy's was born, a point-and-click survival horror game, and yes, believe it or not, it is a horror game that has now spawned 7 mainline games, with the next one coming out very soon, around 3 spin-off games, and multiple books released for the lore's sake. Oh, and yeah, fuck ton of merch and toys you can go buy at your local GameStop. Before we get to the meat and potatoes of this video, we first have to discuss the rise of popularity that FNAF had back when it first released, all the way back in July of 2014, when I was around 12 years old. Wow, I am old, aren't I? Anyways, the rise of FNAF, I give credit to the many YouTubers that played and talked about the series, but none deserve this credit more than Markiplier, named King of FNAF by the fanbase, and Mr. MatPat himself, who continues to milk the hell out of the franchise to this day, with theory after theory about the expansive lore that the series has made. But I have to give credit to the man who made the series himself, Scott Cawthon, who pumped out the second game literally 4 months later with the equally successful Five Nights at Freddy's 2. That just kept the series' train of success continue to ride off to the sunset. But wait, there's more, because another 4 months later, Scott released a third game of the franchise, Five Nights at Freddy's 3. But oh, you thought it was over, because he finally ended his huge workload of pumping out a game every 4 months with Five Nights at Freddy's 4. After this, he released the last 3 games with a reasonable deadline. My poor man Scott. Moving along here, as I mentioned before, the content creators that were making constant uploads on all these FNAF games releasing at the time obviously caught the attention of a huge demographic, which are children. And trust me, a child demographic is valued a lot even here on YouTube. Why? Because they bring in the cash. This spawned the FNAF store. GameStop, where all you see is FNAF plush toys and literally everything to shirts, keychains, anything. Seriously, GameStop became a better FNAF store than it was a gaming store. All these things that I mentioned really helped build the foundation of the behemoth that became Five Nights at Freddy's. Well, now that we are all done here with the history of this classic, let's start with why this game is actually pretty good. One thing I noticed when I played this game was how well this game was with gradually making a player get better with each night. Notice how on night 1 usually it's a very controlled Bonnie and Chica trying to get you, the player. That's because it's purposely set up where Foxy is active on night 2 just so it doesn't throw so much at the player from the very start. This goes for the Freddy animatronic as well, which doesn't get active until night 3, and when it gets to night 4 and 5 it just amps up the difficulty, enough where the player already is familiar with all the animatronics and knows what to do. This is absolutely a great game design that many games use, but sometimes use very incorrectly, where they amp up the difficulty from 1 to 100 quick when the player is still getting familiar to their surroundings. So this is a very appreciated design that helps people get playing the game quick and easy. I know this might sound strange, but I have a feeling a lot of you will agree with me here, but the FNAF lore is actually pretty well written, enough to actually get a player to go for the minigames explaining somewhat of the secrets behind the game's story. Hear me out. There's a reason why we watch MatPat's videos on the lore, and that's because it's very well hidden, and it just keeps us interested the whole time. For example, Gravity Falls, the show about mystery, and for the whole run of the show, the mysterious aspect is what kept us watching, and that spawned theories, communities that would want to decipher the ending messages, and it's definitely no different here. The lore has spawned all that, and the thing is, the mystery hasn't even been solved yet. Why do you think they keep releasing new books still? I'm just overall impressed how far they can push a story like this and still keep lots of people interested in it. I gotta admit, it's pretty impressive. So far we covered some of the game design along with the story that the game brings, but what about the gameplay? How does it play? And to that I say, the game doesn't expect you to use too many controls. Hell, it's a click and point adventure game, so instead it focuses on the familiarity of the game itself, learning how each and every character works. It's not about mastering controls here, it's more about mastering the patterns and the pressure of not getting jump scared. And I respect that. It's honestly brilliant, and it's one of those things where it's easy to play but hard to master sort of thing. Lastly, I want to get with the setting and the tone of the game. I have to say this now, it's pretty wild how long it took for someone to actually make a game about a haunted Chuck E. Cheese. Because the idea in itself is a very relatable one. We all have gone to a Chuck E. Cheese or somewhere with animatronics, say like Disneyland, and I'm sure you've all at least once thought that they look creepy or maybe have seen one powered down, and that's what enticed that creepy vibe you got out of these robots. Nonetheless, the whole game being based off this relatable fact definitely resonated with lots of players, and even me. I mean, I know I freak the fuck out when it comes to animatronic. I mean, look at this. This is a real thing, and it moves so strangely. Five Nights at Freddy's is definitely a very special game, a game that has spawned tons of memes, criticism, and even cringe culture, but the thing is, if we ignore all that and play through it and see it for what it is, you'll definitely get your money's worth out of it. And with every new installment, the games continue to get more graphically impressive and hell, even more gameplay heavy. The franchise isn't perfect for sure, and has its flaws like how the power literally drains like nothing even when you stand still. It's pretty stupid. But one of my fears for the series as of now is the oversaturation of FNAF games. I mean, there is almost 8 of these games in the span of 6 years, and there's no sign of stopping anytime soon. So when does it get to the point where this style of horror game just stops being interesting and plain out not scary? I know the originals aren't all that frightening anymore, but you learn from the jump scare to expect the unexpected, you know? But overall, I can gladly say FNAF is definitely not a bad series at all, but caught up with cringe culture and memes, that's what really messed up the series up for a lot of people. And well, don't let that be the case, just go out there and accept it for the game series it is. But please don't go out and buy the merch, like holy shit, there's so much of it. They need to seriously dim down on this, especially you GameStop. What's next? An oversaturation of odd ones out merch? Oh wait.
Well, there you have it. Five Nights at Freddy's is a victim of cringe culture and memes. Memes that are actually quite funny. But the games themselves are actually pretty good, and I recommend you guys to go check them out if you want a huge jump scare fright fest. Well, that's it for me. I gotta go to my local GameStop so I can buy myself a Foxy the Pirate plush.